Hey, welcome into the Stinkin Truth Podcast. Mark Schlereth alongside Mike Evans. Week 14's in the book. There's 4 weeks left in the season, Mike Evans. 4 weeks left in the season.
Man, where has the season gone? I mean, we got so much to talk about here today. So can't wait to.
Let me just, before we get started, that I called a game in Chicago yesterday. It was chilly. It's cold. Booth was open. And, I got right back on a plane and flew here. And then I came home and watched the Broncos game so we could prepare our radio show today. And I didn't get to see Sunday night happen. Anything go on with the Philadelphia Eagles? I mean, is there?
You hot.
How are the Eagles doing right now?
You hot snot.
You.
You hot snot.
Are the Philadelphia Eagles the worst 10-win team in the history of football?
Should we do some background here to explain what this is all about?
I'm just waiting for their flagship station to rip and clip some, fake headlines and besmirch me some more. How about it?
What's the beef here? What's going on?
I don't have any beef. I'm just,
feeling your oats a little bit?
I've told you this before. This is my philosophy on life. I am a really good loser, but I am a dick when it comes to winning. And I feel like I'm winning right now. So, up yours. That's it.
All right. Well, let's start right there. What's wrong with the Eagles? Last 2 weeks, losing to San Francisco and Dallas.
That game was back. Actually, the good thing that game was in Philadelphia. Otherwise, they really got their ass kicked. Holy Moses. I mean, San Francisco you want to talk about kicking a dude when he's down.
All right, so last 2 weeks.
That's the old. Remember the old comic books that had the story in the background, the Atlas thing, and he kicked sand in the nerd's face, and then the nerd went in and lifted and got all big. The problem is the nerd's not lifting right now. They needed to get the nerd in the weight room.
Well, the nerds have been outscored 75-32 last 2 weeks.
Wow.
So what's wrong in Philly?
Well, I mean, your guess is as good as mine. Defensively, I mean, I watched this thing defensively in the last however many quarters. It was like touchdown, 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 field goal, touchdown, kneel down. It was unbelievable what they have gone through. So defensively, they're not stopping people. They're giving up third down conversions. They're creating or they're giving up the ball on fumbles. They had a couple of fumbles against the Cowboys yesterday. And, the Cowboys' offensive line matched up pretty well with the Eagles, big defensive front, and I thought they smashed them a little bit. So, yeah, a lot of the turnover issues. That team does not feel completely connected right now. And, I did fly, so I went through and tried to catch as much of that game as I could. This morning I went through some of it. But turnovers and giving up big plays, and I tell you what, I don't know that they've been exposed, but when they've played really solid teams that aren't afraid that can match them with physicality, boy, they've gotten pushed around. And they got pushed around in that game. Yeah,
the Dallas loss wouldn't bother me as much because you've said this before as a player, that sometimes, especially on the road, you walk into a situation where you're like, I do believe we're going to get our ass kicked tonight. Because you can just sense that the emotion of the team you're playing.
Yeah, sure.
But that San Francisco loss is still the one that kind of carries the stench, right?
Well,
the Dallas one's kind of forgivable.
Yeah, the San Francisco one was a big matchup, and San Francisco literally beat you down. I mean, they physically wore you out. That's the thing that concerns me more than anything else, Mike, is this was a football team going back to last year that I always told you, how do you want us to beat you? Because we can out-finesse you. We can out-physical you. In the run game, we can go straight downhill. We can go gap scheme. We can go duo. We can go wide zone. We can pin and pull, and we're athletic enough to get to the edge. We'll just beat you any way we want. And not only running the football, but also the quarterback run stuff. And, I will tell you this. It's really hard. You lose a Super Bowl. They always talk about that Super Bowl, right, the Super Bowl hangover. But, you think about what you lost. You lost Jonathan Gannon, your defensive coordinator, who everybody in Philly hated, right? How do you feel about Jonathan Gannon now? Would you like him back now? Because defensively you haven't been very good. And then you also lost Shane Steichen. And one thing about Shane Steichen, who is now the Indianapolis Colts head coach, And this goes all the way back to his time in L.A. with the Chargers, and I think he was there for a year, maybe the rookie year of. I think he was a quarterback coach, but he was there for I believe the rookie year of Justin Herbert, when Justin Herbert did all kinds of unbelievable things. I think I'm right on that. I could be wrong. I'm not going to spend the time to research it. That's up to you guys. But the thing I've always thought about Shane Steichen, and really one of the things that he impressed me with, was his ability to take a complex concept and make it really simple for his quarterback. And to say, hey, here's what we're going to run. This is the concept. This is the dude we're trying to put into conflict. And all you got to do is read the dude, right? I mean, if he's leveraged wide, throw it inside. If he's leveraged inside, throw it outside. If he's leveraged short, throw it deep. If he's leveraged deep, throw it short. It's that he seems to have a way to make it as simple as that. Hey, if you get single high safety, we got access to the outside. You got two high safeties, we got access in the middle. And take this quarterback and take this complex route combination and say, here's what we're going to do based upon, the look we get. And you lose two coordinators that have that connection with the football team. Two new guys come in, and everything's going to be tweaked. There's going to be certain nuances to each and every play that are different. And certainly for the Philadelphia Eagles, it just feels different.
Well, that's Philly's issue right now. Let's not go too deep into this without giving Dallas their due. In fact, Jerry Jones says this win shows that Dak Prescott deserves his due.
Yeah.
Does he, or does he still? No, he still has a lot left to prove.
No, I've always liked Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott in the regular season. Dak Prescott and the Cowboys in the regular season. They got nothing to prove. They're going to have to do something in the playoffs. That's really. I mean, come on. It's for the Cowboys. It's NFC Championship or bust. Isn't that?
Yes.
It is. And so this whole season and that game last night to Philadelphia, hey, I think Dak Prescott, and I've always been a Dak Prescott guy, right? I've just always felt like he plays with this old soul. I've always felt like he's been very good. But there have been critical moment issues that, they have fallen apart as a football team, and he hasn't played his best at the quarterback position. We always want our quarterback to manage the game first and second down and then win games on third downs. Win games in critical situations. Win games in the red zone. Make plays where plays have to be made. And, regular season-wise, the Cowboys are a real talented football team. But in those playoff moments, we just haven't seen enough of that from Dak Prescott. Is he over? I don't know if he's over the hump. I don't know if this gives him the confidence that he needs to go on and do those things. But the Cowboys are in a championship or bust window. They've got to get to the NFC Championship. Otherwise, I think their season is for naught.
Does home field matter more for Dallas than Philadelphia or San Francisco? Do you get the sense that we know San Francisco can travel?
Right.
Philadelphia, if they're right, I think their game travels.
Yeah.
But with Dallas, do you get the sense that home field matters more to them than the other top teams in the NFC?
Yeah, that's a good question. I just, from the standpoint of comfort, from the standpoint of surroundings, from the standpoint of not having to deal with all the elements and also, the elements of not only the field conditions and all those things like you would get in San Francisco, but the elements of the opposing crowd. Yeah, it feels like Dallas and home field advantage matters more to them. And part of that is just because I think it's just their past history and the fact that, we all think they're kind of soft.
Well, you do.
Well, no. I mean, I'm not saying.
And you've been saying that since the beginning of the season.
Yeah, I'm not saying soft physically. I'm saying mentally. Are they?
Yeah.
Can they overcome potential disaster? And in every game, you have those momentum moments and you have those swings, and it really comes down to how do you handle those things, and can you stay calm, and can you can you press through those things when they happen to you?
So your updated NFC Power Rankings at the top. Who you got?
San Fran is number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Then it would go Dallas, number 2.
Big margin, not so big margin.
Not a huge margin.
No.
I think. And then I think you drop down a couple notches, and you got to go. You got to go Philly. You got to go. Wow, you got to go Philly. You have to go Detroit, although yeah. I mean, but Philly and Detroit right now they're both scrambling. Is there anybody in the wild card race that I think, Oh, I'm telling you what.
Yeah, go ahead.
Here's the crazy thing.
Go ahead, talk about them. I know where you're going.
The Green Bay Packers.
Yeah.
The Green Bay Packers right now. So I'm on the sideline pregame before Detroit and Chicago that I called yesterday. And I'm talking to a defensive coach of the Detroit Lions. And, we start talking about Green Bay. And he said, listen, man, Green Bay is a good team. Green Bay is they are coming on. And he goes, and it's not even just Green Bay, it's that quarterback. And he goes, Jordan Love is slinging it. He goes, they whipped our butts on Thanksgiving Day, and we had them covered. Because we had them covered. He threw some balls that were like perfect placement balls. There's nothing, guys, completely covered. It's a window that you would say, don't throw it in here. And he threw it in. And they made those contested catch plays. And so, yeah, he's like, that quarterback is playing right now. The way he's playing is he's playing at an elite level. We'll see him Monday night. But he's playing at an elite level at the quarterback position. And so don't look down, but there's 2 divisions. There's 2 divisions right now that here toward the end of the year, those last 4 games, could swing. You could see Green Bay catching Detroit.
Oof.
Now, they've already played them twice, right?
Okay.
So they're not going to play head-to-head. So, but they split. But I think right now, depending on how tonight goes, if the Green Bay Packers win, it'll be a 2-game swing, or it'll be a 2-game, in the last 4 games. And then AFC West, the Kansas City Chiefs have a 1-game lead on the Broncos right now.
Yep.
And the Broncos know the formula. Can you execute the game plan to stick with the formula? But they know the formula.
They know their identity.
They know who they are.
Yeah.
And they play to run the football, even if we're only getting 3 yards a carry. Run the football, throw the screens and the dump-offs to the backs, the underneath throws, and then set up your play pass, play action, where you got 7 guys in protection, 8 guys in protection. You're running 2-man routes and take a few deep shots to see if you can convert. And if you're on schedule, meaning if first and second down you got 3 and 3, and you're in third down and 4 minus, you're in 3rd and 3, and you've got the duality, you've got the ability to say, hey, we could run it here, we could throw it here, we can run our play action, we can run our boot keep game, we can run our waggle, get our quarterback outside where he's got a run pass option. Like, if you're in that situation, you can adhere to that game plan. And what it ends up doing is eventually you have at the end of the game, you got a 35-minute to 25-minute time of possession, like a 10-minute time of possession advantage. And what happens to you, and I've been on this sideline, Mike, you start going, okay, wait a minute. Now, how many more possessions are we going to get? And then you start going, well, we got to, we're not going to get that many more possessions. We got to score on every possession. So then you get out of playing sound football. You quit running the ball. You drop back more. You give more opportunity to blitz. Your receiver that catches the ball, you fight for an extra 2 or 3 yards. That gives the defense an opportunity to get more hands in there on the football and try to rip one out. Like, it lends itself to you winning the turnover battle. So they've got a formula, and they can operate in that formula.
Well, you'll have to forgive Chief fan because they're probably not really thinking about the Broncos right now. They're probably a little bit too concerned with the idea that the NFL is out to get them.
Oh, my gosh.
All right, where do you come down on the whole Kadarius Toney?
Poor Chief fan.
Controversy.
Don't line up offsides.
Okay.
Ask for help. Hey, listen, is it a ticky-tack foul? Yep. It is. Did you benefit from a ticky-tack foul at the Super Bowl when they called holding?
Too soon?
Is that too soon?
Too soon.
Yeah, you benefited from that, right? That wasn't a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Is it ticky-tack? Yep, it is. And I, for one, am here for it because I can't stand the Chiefs. So it makes me happy. I'm glad they got called. By the way, I mean, you could have called illegal formation every play. Their right tackle is never, and you don't have to be all the way on the ball, but your helmet is supposed to break the plane of the belt line of the center, the hip of the center. I mean, he's literally that far in a legal formation. I know when you're given a little leeway if you're not in a 3-point stance, you're in a 2-point stance and all that stuff, Mike, but the bottom line is they could call ticky-tack fouls all day long. And, Andy Reid crying about not getting a warning and, quit crying. Quit crying. The run is over. Chiefs dynasty is done.
Not yet.
The Chiefs dynasty is done.
Not done yet. So basically what you're saying is, to Chief fan, yeah, you got screwed. It was a ticky-tack call, but shame on you for complaining about it, seeing as how much you've benefited from favorable calls over the last few years. That basically your message?
Yeah. And Kadarius Toney right now, he's got the drop in game 1 against Detroit that turned into an interception by Brian Branch for pick 6. And now you've got this that eliminated that touchdown. You've given the other team a touchdown, and you've eliminated one of your own touchdowns. At some point, you got to move on from Kadarius Toney. I mean, all that talent. What was the quote from the baseball movie? Durham.
Bull Durham.
Burl Durham. $1 million arm and a 10-cent head.
Yep.
Well, there you go. That's him.
It was a hell of a play, though.
It was a great play.
Great play.
It was a great play.
That's next level field awareness, isn't it?
Right.
By Kelsey.
By the way, I loved the fact that they were complaining about, like Patrick Mahomes was complaining about, the NFL took away one of the great plays we've ever seen. And I love, he goes, well, we're here. The fans want to see these great plays, and then we took that great play away. No, I saw it. It was great.
It was a great play.
Freaking phenomenal.
Awesome play.
I mean, you were offsides, but yeah, it was phenomenal. Wait, look, I have not been deprived of watching that great play. That great play happened.
It'll
I
live in
saw
infamy.
it. Yeah, I loved it. I loved it. You know what? That for me was winner, chicken dinner.
Yeah.
That was I saw the great play, and the Chiefs got a touchdown taken off the board. Two things happened.
You just, every week, I know you don't, well, maybe you do mean to do it, but you just alienate and piss off a whole new fan base every single week.
Yeah, well, it's what I do.
Yeah.
Do you think it's time for Travis Kelce?
Eagle fans, I'm mad at Mark Schlereth. Chief fans, hold my beer.
Yeah. Do you think it's time for the betterment of this team? Shouldn't Travis Kelce dump Taylor Swift?
I'm starting to get Yoko Ono vibes.
Yeah.
I really am.
Yep.
I really am.
Telling you what. They'll break up a band. Women. They'll break up the band.
They'll break up the band.
I'm telling you, it's time for Travis Kelce to quit being so selfish and dump that girl.
All the controversy over the call aside, there are some issues going on with Kansas City. They do not look right.
No.
So is this just a spell they're going through, or are they in real trouble?
They're in real trouble because, there's one guy that I think Mahomes really trusts, and that guy is Kelce, although Rice is a guy that I think he's developing trust with too. But, I saw pressure by the Bills. I saw sacks. I saw, like things that Mahomes could always get out of. They're not getting out of it. Why? Because they're not getting open down the field as easily as they used to get open down the field. So there's less options when you do scramble, when things do break down, to move around and, make a play. And so, yeah, I think those things are legitimate. I think those things are real. And, right now they're struggling a little bit.
So a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about Miami and Dallas as being kind of the mirror images of each other in the NFC, AFC, two teams that have shown that they can beat up on the weak sisters, but still questions about whether or not that they can really deliver in the big games, kind of the mirror opposites of each other. Is Green Bay and Buffalo the mirror images in the NFC, AFC as far as if they get in to the playoffs,
Sure.
they become really dangerous. The wild card team that maybe nobody wants to play.
Yeah.
Did Buffalo just prove that with this performance?
Yeah, and I think there is not only are the Buffalo Bills super talented. We've said from day one there just seems to be something that felt like it was wrong with Buffalo. But if you can rally and you can string together wins late and have momentum rolling into the playoffs, you become a very dangerous football team. And you're going to roll in there as a wild card too. So you're going to have to roll in as a wild card and just stay right on your playoff, push. And that can be a very, I've had the opportunity to win a Super Bowl as a wild card. And, you get playing good at the end of the season, man. It's almost like we don't want the bye. We don't want that bye. We just want to keep on rolling.
Right.
And you get that us against the world mentality because, more often than not, you got to go on the road to, to play these games. At least the divisional and the championship game, you had to go on the road. I know here in Denver, we played one at home, wild card weekend at home, and then we, went on the road to Kansas City, to Pittsburgh. And so those are things where you have that momentum and you're playing for your life every single weekend. So by the time you get to the playoffs, it feels normal to be playing for your life, right? That hey, man, we drop one, we're most likely out. If that's how you've been playing, if you're Denver, if you're Green Bay, if you're the Bills, that's how you're playing right now every single weekend. Not the Bills early in the season, but when they dropped all those games, your mindset just changes and you become comfortable in that mindset.
2 words. Joe Flacco. What the heck's happening here?
Yeah.
Dude's slinging it around.
Yeah, Joe Flacco can play in the right, like you want to talk about the confluence of like the perfect storm. You've got a standard old school West Coast. Let's get into 2 backs. Let's play with a fullback. Let's play with multiple tight ends. Let's condense formations. Let's run the football. Let's set up our hard play action where we turn our back to the defense. Then we pop back up, and we've got some one-on-one stuff, single high safety stuff. Like it's this perfect confluence of scheme with old school quarterback meshing together, and they fit perfectly. And like Joe Flacco, arm talent-wise, has never been a question. Joe can throw it. But it's just, it's almost this morphing of the new offensive. I almost went total Nick Sirianni.
Yeah. We're going to have systems.
Where it's, all this shotgun, all this no huddle, all this no back empty, all this, zone read stuff that Flacco, frankly, that's not who he is. So you've got Kevin Stefanski has put together an old school run first, hard nose. We play out of base. Like back in the day, in my day, everything was out of base, right? It was you had a fullback, you had a tailback, you had a tight end, and you had 2 wideouts, right? Base. Every now and again, you go tiger. Tiger is 2 tight ends and 1 back, and so you would switch that. Very rarely did you go zebra, which was nickel, which was 3 wide receivers, 1 tight end, 1 back. But zebra was only like you only got into zebra on 3rd down and 7+. Like you were hoping never to get into zebra. Now the whole game is played out of zebra, right? And so,
what's 4 wideouts out there? What's that?
Well, 5 was Cinco. 5 was Cinco.
So how do you go from zebra to?
Yeah, what do we call 4?
What about 4?
What do we call 4?
Panda?
4 wideouts.
Jaguar?
Yeah.
Leopard? Puma?
Puma. I don't remember what 4 was.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who needs Joe Burrow? Who needs Joe Burrow when you got Jake Browning? 3 starts, won the last 2. He's averaging 285 yards passing per game, completing 75% of his passes, and the last 2 wins, 4 touchdowns and 2 picks.
Yeah. Since he's hot again, right?
Now all of a sudden, maybe they need to go into that conversation about wild card teams that you're going to be
Yeah.
worried about playing.
Yeah, well, right now they're playing great. And I've told you, man, I really like them defensively. I think they can pressure the quarterback. They play. They're very multiple in the way they play. They do a lot of different things, give you a lot of different looks, but they're really good about being sound in all those different things that they play. Lou Anarumo I think, is a really good coordinator. And so, yeah, and then they're running the football a little bit more effectively. They're making big plays in the passing game. They did that yesterday once again. He's playing really good football, and I think they're doing. I mean, I tell you what, they're a fun team to watch. Yeah, they're another one of those teams that is just going to keep pushing here and probably be a wild card berth.
Finally, every week it seems like in the NFL we get a result that just leaves us scratching our heads, right?
Okay.
How do you explain Houston and the Jets?
Well, we had the benefit of watching Houston beat the Broncos, and there were so many points left on the board last week. I mean, from Russell Wilson not finding wide open receivers to not getting off of reads. There were so many big plays left on the football field, and you're like, if you could just execute these big plays at the quarterback position, legitimately walked out of that game or walked away from that game studying the coach's tape going, they should have scored at minimum, Denver should have scored at minimum 35 to 40 points in that game. There were so many holes on that defense in the passing game, and the Jets exploited it. The Jets took advantage of those same things that happened. Now, obviously, they knocked out the quarterback, C.J. Stroud. He had to leave the game, so that never helps you. But yeah, I think Houston. I think at the very least, you can say whatever you want about the Houston Texans, and they've had an unbelievable season. But I think that defense was exposed in that Denver game, and then when you get the fact that your quarterback is playing at such a high level, making so many plays. Not only the big plays he makes in the passing game, scrambling around, making a few big plays that way too. But the plays he chooses to throw the ball away, those things are big. Those things are big time decisions that most veteran quarterbacks struggle with that stuff, and he's been great. So, I think there's some holes in the passing game of the Houston Texans defense. I think that Denver wasn't able to take advantage of it because I just think of a lot of poor decisions and poor throws. And the Jets and Zach Wilson, he made those throws, and there are hundreds of thousands of moms who called in sick to work today after that big victory by Zach Wilson. They couldn't make it in. They could not. Exhausted. Absolutely.
By the way, fist bump. 3-0, both of us, with our picks last week.
Yeah, we did not do a second podcast like we normally do, but you and I got together and made our picks anyhow.
Yep.
We will reveal them on the next podcast.
Yeah.
So, we
nice job.
Well, thank you, buddy. Thank you. That makes us
a
little bit. My half-game lead.
Half-game lead, man. It's the
all-important loss call.
I keep telling you about the loss call.
About the loss call.
I have.
Yeah.
I have.
Hey, stay tuned next week because we'll put down another podcast, Week 15, kind of preview the games, talk a little bit about what's going on in the league as well. Also, we'll do our Leftovers podcast a little later in the week, as well as I just called Chicago at Detroit. And Chicago, hey, don't look now or don't speak now, but Chicago's another one of those teams that they really feel like they can win out. And if they can win out, maybe save Matt Eberflus's job, maybe save, maybe they decide not to go away from Justin Fields. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff going on.
That's the question I can't wait to ask you after being around the Bears, because that's a question that not only Bears fans want to know the answer to. I think a lot of NFL fans are curious. What's the future hold for Justin Fields, especially if the Bears are going to have that number 1 overall pick?
Yeah, it'll be really, really interesting. So we'll cover all that stuff coming up here later on in the week. Hey, for everybody listening to the Stinkin' Truth podcast, we appreciate you guys so much. Thank you. Chiefs fans. That was hilarious. And until later on in the week, man, we will talk to you then. Thank you, guys. Hey, for everybody involved in the Stinky Truth, we thank you so much. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please make sure you don't forget to give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel for more content just like this. If you want to see more of our videos, you can also be sure to check out our playlist. Let us know exactly what you think in the comments below. We appreciate you guys so much for being a part of that.
Don't forget to follow us on social media to stay up to date on our latest updates. Links are in the description. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.